Roll call, please.
Alicia Gardner,
Present.
Alyssa Parks,
Present.
Chuck Melkey,
Here.
Carrie Germain,
Present.
Jessica Lenave,
Present.
John Sayer,
Present.
Brian Sapanic.
Present.
Thank you, everyone. Now, could everyone join us in the pledge? All right, welcome, everyone. We're going to start our meeting with an opportunity for folks to provide public comment related to the agenda before us tonight. If anyone has any comments, please stand, state your name, come to the podium and speak for 3 minutes or less. Anyone? No? All right, we'll move on. There'll be another chance at the end of the meeting. All right, let's start with the consent agenda before us. I would entertain a motion to approve.
Support.
Alyssa and Brian, any comments or questions? All right, I will ask Miss Sue if she would do roll call, please.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Brian Sapanic,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
John Sayer,
Yes.
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Alicia Gardner,
Yes.
Alyssa Parks.
Yes.
7 yes.
All right, thank you, Sue. All right, we are now going to go to Miss Elena Cook for, no, I'm sorry, we're going to go to Mr. Meinke.
All right, thank you very much. It is, the weather has turned, it's beautiful. We have sporting events going on. We had choir concert this week and band concert this week. You're gonna hear a lot more about that coming up, but a lot of activities as we kind of round out the end of the school year. I want to address an incident that was pretty public this past week where we got a call to emergency dispatch. One of our students reported the potential at the high school of a student who they thought could potentially have a firearm on them in their possession. I was very proud of our team at the high school, the staff, the administration. They acted swiftly. In coordination with law enforcement, they were able to apprehend the student in question. It was determined that, of course, no firearm was present, but everybody went into the appropriate procedures, into the appropriate modes. Response time was within minutes, and we were able to get communication out to families pretty quickly. And just appreciate the way our students and staff handled that at the high school this week. It's a scary thing when you hear those things. It adds a layer of concern that probably we didn't have years ago, and I think certainly since the Oxford incident, it's been on our students' minds, unfortunately, more than we would ever hope to see happen. I will say a lot of the spring assessment windows are closing. Our STAR assessments at all levels have closed, are closing this week. And so we're trying to get some of that spring data together so that we can review that and see where things are at. Our summer school programming is well underway. We're seeing real strong numbers at our early L, which is going to be held at Cyrene this summer. We're also seeing pretty good numbers for our upper elementary school. We're still working on the middle school numbers, but those are coming together. And middle school and upper elementary will both be at Deke this summer. And so we're excited about that, and for any parents that haven't registered yet, feel free to do that, and we want to make that a real positive experience in the summer. I also would like to make sure everybody's aware in the community. We're real excited about our seniors. They're going to be graduating right there in the stadium at 2 o'clock on January 12th, or June 12th, and we welcome everybody in. As you can see, there's a lot of work that's already starting. As soon as students are out for the summer, there'll be a lot of renovation work happening in a short time period here in the district. And so one of the constant things we hear about is this parking lot. You'll see we've done some patchwork by putting gravel into some of the potholes that can swallow an entire sedan. But what we have been trying to do is help people understand that next year it's going to be very, very great. And so parking lot's getting expanded here. There's actually going to be another entrance coming in off of Cappy Lane for students. And so there'll be a whole way of kind of diffusing some of the craziness in the parking lot and after school, before school time periods. So we're excited about that. Morris is also having a lot of upgrades there, which is going to make that a much better opportunity for parents and buses to be separated. And so lots of site work improvements as well as building improvements happening. The high school students are going to be able to come back to air conditioning in the fall, which they'll be excited about as well. So really, really happy to report that. I'll talk a little bit about some of our staffing and how we do that in just a little bit. I'd also like to do a little bit of a special recognition. This is something that happened just a few short days ago, and I felt like it was important for the community, the public, and also our board to recognize. So I'll ask Ms. Wildy and Ms. Crimp to come on up to the podium here. It's rare that situations present themselves that we can really honestly say that a teacher saved someone's life, and that has actually happened with one of our own here, and I would like Mrs. Wildy to tell the story.
All right, well, thank you for having us here tonight. It was kind of a last minute thing, and I had to twist Dina's arm to bring her with me because she is that person who says, I did what anyone would have done in that circumstance. But on Friday, I was at a training, a very engaging training, district initiative for restorative practices. And like every principal does, I had my cell phone there watching, carefully to see if I got anything from my building. And in the afternoon, I got an email from Dina. And it was very matter of fact, and she just explained that one of her early 5 kindergarten students had choked, that she noticed him had a little squeak and his eyes were bulging and he was literally choking on his snack at snack time, and all the kids were at the carpet. And she responded and, was able to, not at first, but she was able to get it to come loose, and he was able to breathe. And she kept her wits about her the whole time, comforted not only that crying child, but her whole class, kept them calm, which these are our youngest students in the building. And she then sent to a neighboring teacher's classroom, had them come over, call the parent. The family, of course, is so grateful. And then she speaking of restorative practices, she had a discussion with the whole class about what had happened and how they felt about it, and made sure that all the kids were okay and knew that that child was safe and he was okay. So, and her email was not looking for any kind of recognition or anything. It was just like, is there anything else you need from me? Here's what happened. Is there anything else you need from me? And she just went on with her day teaching. And she did notify all her families in her classroom so that when kids went home, and they could have conversations with their families at home and understand what had happened and that everyone was safe. So Dina's just that person. She's that consummate professional. She's been a teacher in our district for years. Lots of people know her and how dependable she is, but it just is amazing to me how she took it in stride, and she definitely did not want the recognition, and I'm forcing her into the spotlight. So Dina.
And whoever put it on Facebook last night.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting that, but no.
So we just really want to make sure that Dina's recognized, and these things do happen from time to time, and sometimes they go without acknowledgement, and I think it's amazing that our kids are in such good hands, and so I wanted to make sure she was recognized publicly and so that the board could see her. So I'd just like to give her a hand.
Madam President, maybe, or Ben, maybe we should, I know you don't want any recognition, Dina, but I'm going to make it worse on you. Maybe we should give it to the newspaper, the local newspaper. I mean, it warrants, something that our staff is going well over and above, and I just think she needs a little bit more recognition. And I know you probably don't want it, you just did your job. But you know what, I think it's good for the, it's PR and it's good for the district, and you deserve a lot more than what you did. So, or what you got, so.
I agree with that and appreciate that, Mr. Melky. Our Media and Communications Liaison put the article out on social media yesterday, and we have over 8,000 views on that post already.
How many likes do we have?
So a lot of likes, a lot of likes.
Thank you.
Well, on behalf of the board, Gina, thank you. That was grace under fire for sure. And knowing you over the years, that doesn't surprise me, but we're also very grateful, as I'm sure the family is. And what
I mean,
a,
it's easy to panic. His mom is a nurse, and so she took it to the extreme. Like, no, you don't understand. Everybody's trained, and people panic and don't do what they're supposed to.
to remain calm and then to gather the
25
students.
little kids, and they're all staring at you. It didn't work, you know.
So thank you. Thanks, Michelle, for bringing it forward. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks, Ben, for your report. Any questions for Ben? All right, we will move on to Miss Elena Cook for her student board representative report.
Well, how am I supposed to follow that? Okay. So kindergarten registration has officially started for our district. Any parents interested in registering their child for early fives in kindergarten may pre-register and register at this time following the links on the Swartz Creek website. We are going to be having a Dragon Nation community night, which will host senior signing celebrations, stadium tours, food trucks and Kona Ice, bounce houses, DJs, all that fun stuff. Like Mr. Manka said, facilities, internships, and job opportunities. Right now, the band program is hosting an instrument drive. They are collecting through May 27th. I believe they're going to talk about that in a second, but if you have any questions, talk to Mrs. Murdoch. Last night, the band, which again, they're going to talk about this in a moment, had their spring concert. They honored their seniors and played lots of other fun songs. And next week, again, they'll talk about it in a second, the choir program is having their concert on Thursday at 7 o'clock, where they will also be honoring their seniors. The middle school and high school archery team is heading to nationals in Kentucky later this week. This is, I believe, the 4th year in a row that they've made it to nationals, but that is a big achievement for them. And now for all the fun senior stuff. Right now, we are hosting something called Kiss a Senior Goodbye. This is an opportunity to send a note and then a little Hershey kiss to any senior if you're choosing. And all orders for that are due May 13th. The senior banquet is May 26th from 5 to 8 at Fenton Winery. Cap and gown pickup is June 1st from 12:30 to 2:30 in the PAC lobby. Baccalaureate is on June 5th at 2 p.m. at First Baptist Swartz Creek, right down the road. For the seniors honors night, it got moved to June 6th at 6:30 in the PAC. And graduation rehearsal is June 9th at 1 p.m. Next week is the seniors' last full week of school. So we are hosting fun spirit days such as Dress Like Adam Sandler Day, Throwback Thursday, Dress Like Where You'd Want to Live in the World, your college plans, and then Beach Day on Friday. I want to thank you all for coming for those of you that were able to come to the Student Roundtable meeting. It was a big success. I heard from lots of people that this was something that they really enjoyed and that hopefully they'll get to do next year. I told them that's not up to me, but hopefully it will happen next year. And applications for this position are now available and are due next Wednesday for anybody that would like to apply. You can pick up applications in the counseling office. Any questions?
I have one quick, is this your last meeting with us, or do you come one more time?
I think I'm coming to the June meeting, correct?
All right, just check.
Can't
Two
even
meetings
believe
in
that
June,
is-
don't forget that, there's 2 meetings.
That's right, y'all are stuck with me for 2 more.
That's right.
My only other question is, do seniors even know who Adam Sandler is? I feel like that's my generation. Like the real Adam Sandler.
Thanks, Elena, and talk about a hard act to follow. You will definitely be that. So anybody who is willing or interested to apply for Elena's position, I hope you've been watching her over this last year. She's done an amazing job. So we'll thank you now, but we'll thank you later. Thank you. All right, so let's move on to our informational items that were in your packet, and then go on to the board subcommittee reports. Let's start with Jack for policy.
All right. Yeah, policy committee started at 6 p.m. on May 3rd, and present was myself, Mr. Main, Mr. Spanik, Ms. Gardner, and Mr. Manka. It was a very straightforward meeting. We went over the November policy update from Troon. They sent us an update to our policies in November of 2021, and Superintendent Manka reviewed the potential changes to our policies with us, and he gave us handouts of all the changes from that update. We also went over the July policy review and that update, and they sent us a much larger update back in July of 2021. And Mr. Micah also gave us a packet which included all of those changes or potential changes as well. And the committee went over them as well briefly. The committee took the packets home so that we could review them in greater detail, as there were quite a few of them. And then we also briefly discussed future agendas, seeing as Troon is going to seemingly send us new updates annually in July. And so we just briefly discussed how our future agendas were going to go. There was no public comment, there was no future board comments, and policy committee adjourned at 7:05 p.m.
Thanks, Jack. Any questions for Jack? All right. Ben, I guess, how are we going to distribute the policies to the other board members? Because I know there's quite a list to look at.
Yep, so when Jack and I talked, we discussed the idea that we would have the policy committee review the potential changes. So at our next meeting, we would actually make some choices on what the committee would recommend. And then from there, we would catalog those and send those out to the whole board so the board could see those. And then again, following our typical policy implementation process, what we would do is we would have a meeting where we would present those publicly for discussion. And then there could be an opportunity for that to be the first reading. And then you'd do your final reading and approval in the same meeting, which could be in July. And as Mr. Sayer said, we can get on a schedule now where basically every July, we're reviewing that new update for the coming year and then, expedite that process.
Okay, thanks. All right, I can go over the Academic Achievement Committee of the Whole, which was also the 3rd of May. We did have several agenda items, beginning with the Building Equity book study that the administrative team is studying. There are several components of that book, and there's 5 different levels that Rod went over: physical integration, social emotional engagement, which is a very timely and hot topic, opportunity to learn, instructional excellence, and engaged and inspired leaders. We did talk about district diversity overall and asked Rod if there was year-over-year trend data. He thought that he could go back as far as 20 years and that it might be valuable to take a look at that to see how the community has changed and the district has changed during that period of time. We did look at the 5D focus for the 22-23 school year, and Rod shared with us the 5D rubric for the instructional growth and teacher evaluation, which I think most of us have seen several times. And they're looking at an expanded focus, looking at the classroom environment and culture, and also those different components that are listed here, and then the assessment for student learning. Another branch of 5D that they'll be looking at, and it's actually very interesting. And he talked extensively about formative tests over time versus checkpoints in time, that are checkpoints in time versus the summative testing, where a student is only tested at the end. We did look at the positivity project expansion for K-12 and aligning the topics. And he shared with us that all buildings and all students K-12 will have that program. We're investing some of the ESSER funds to support the program. And there'll be a common calendar for the staff to follow with the students, focusing on the character traits of authenticity, growth mindset, and integrity. And the common calendar will allow for messaging that's within and between the buildings. So if you have a family where there's children of multiple ages and buildings, they will get a similar message. It might be a little bit different content. And it also provides parents with some valuable links and resources that they can use to reinforce those messages. Finally, we looked at the regular intake of mental health data to supplement the behavior data that's being collected in Kickboard. And Rod explained to us how that can be expanded. There are various systems, commercial systems that are available to collect and monitor student well-being. So for example, on a scale of 1 to 5, how are you doing today? Collect that information over time and then compare it to the behavior data that is being collected for the students. And the district is looking at some possible partners that exist, some that are new, some that would be integrated with what systems that we currently have. So that'll be interesting to learn as they go. There was no public comment, and we adjourned at 9:06. Are there any questions on that? I think we will learn much more as the administrators are learning more, right? All right. Okay, so why don't we move on to the finance report?
Okay. The check registry is online. We didn't talk about that too much, and the cash and investment summary is also online. We didn't talk about that too much. All we went into is bids and quotes. The RFP is out on we started the meeting at 2:30 p.m. The RFP is out on Mary Crapo, and the bids will end on May 16th. They had to extend them because they were so extensive for the abatement and the demolition of the building. And once they're received and open, Chris will post them ASAP to the board members so we can look at them and then go on from there and make a determination. We had to do some adjustment here on the administration building. They need to put in 3 new doorways that are electronically controlled. They weren't in the original bid, and they're going to cost approximately $21,000. I believe there was enough in the bond to do that. Bus communications needs to be upgraded to 800 megahertz. That's what police departments, fire departments, and EMS have already went to. And we're kind of lagging on that, so that should get us by for a while. So that was about $21,800. That's replaced most of the walkie-talkies and in-bus radios. Math books were purchased for the middle school at approximately $25,000. High school floors, paint, logos are being done at $18,000. We're repainting the beams on stage area and for $22,000. And the middle school painting of the press box is about $16,000. That's going to include the dugouts and the GSRP classrooms at Gaines Elementary being set up. We had to buy furniture for 2 classrooms at a cost of $21,000 approximately, and that's being paid for out of GSRP funds. And then we had to do some upgrades to the servers for $16,000. That was on the bids and quotes. Additionally, we talked about the new payroll migration system and the electronic timekeeping. We talked about this last month. And the new payroll system has been successful so far, according to Chris and Ben, and they're happy with the system. And the electronic timekeeping for all new hourly employees will be installed by the first of the 2022-2023 school year. That's going to cost approximately $1,600 per unit. It's going to be $20,000 total. And then board comments and public comments. There's no public comments. Board comments was Ben talked about the proposed budgets from the state. And there was no public comment, as I said, and we ended the meeting at 3:05 p.m. and the next meeting is on June 6th. I took the minutes for Jessica because she had a family emergency.
All right.
Good.
Any questions for Chuck? Thanks, Chuck, and thanks for stepping in. Appreciate that.
No worries. Wish I would have did a better job. But
All right. So do we need a motion to accept?
I didn't put the monies in there because I thought we would kind of pass this month on it. Carrie, if that's okay with Ben and you, because the cash registry wasn't really stated to Chris because we're lagging a little bit behind because we moved our meetings up a week and the check registry speaks for itself, so I just ignored that part of it.
Okay. We'll pick it up in June then.
Yep.
All right, great. Okay, finally, I think it's back to you, Chuck.
Yep.
Building and site and operations.
Building and site, yeah, we started that meeting at 2:07 p.m. and it ended at 2:30 p.m. once again at the administration building. We talked about the administration fence project that's been successfully done and completed around the administration building. We talked about the varsity dugouts and the middle school dugouts, which coincides with the finance report. The visitor side is completed for the high school dugouts, I believe, and the home side will be done by the end of summer. That's going to cost approximately $11,500 for that, for both dugouts, and that was done by Stratton Home Improvement. And then, as I said earlier in the finance report, the wood will be placed, new plan applied to all the middle school dugouts. That will be done mostly in-house by RC and his team, and that's how they came up with that bid for the supplies. We talked about the Cyrene baseball infield redone. The baseball field was completely redone with 40 yards of material taken out, 50 yards of new material and ball diamond dirt put in. This was done by the community and the athletic boosters along with RC. So it saved on the cost. The cost was approximately $3,000 plus the rental trailer. So thank out to the boosters that helped RC and the rest of the staff there. We then talked about UV lights and cleaner air for the students. We had some discussion on this last month about UV lights. The cost, RC did some research on it, and he figures the cost will be approximately $850,000. That does not include the installation for that type of system. The person that he worked with, Train Heating and Cooling, said that there's also another alternative plan that they could do, and that would be dynamic electric filter systems. They're called static filters, which would cost approximately $285,000. And that would include installation when we figure out if we have the money to do that out of our sinking fund or building fund. And that works similar to the UV. And the reason why they suggest this is because all of our new air units bring in approximately 85% fresh air. So they're saying that sometimes there's not the need for the UV, but I'm still open to either or. Brian brought this up at last building committee, and I thought it was a really great idea. We would have to put some UV lights in if we do the electric static heating for some of the buildings that don't have the fresh air return, so that would be feasible to do that and help reduce the costs. We talked about the tennis courts. McCurney Asphalt quoted a price of approximately $50,000 to $55,000 to repair and level the courts. They would only warranty it, I have in here 6 months, but they won't go over a year because of the winter coming. So they'll warranty it, but just for a very short time. RC is going to try to do the project on his own and you do 1 or 2 courts and see if he can't save us some money. It's about $1,000 a quart for the material plus the labor that will be charged to the district for the employees. So that becomes a ongoing dilemma for us. And then public comment, board comment. We talked about Mary Crapo, and as I said, all we're doing is waiting on the bid to see what that's going to be like. And we ended the meeting at approximately 2:30, and we started the finance meeting.
Thanks, Chuck. Any questions for Chuck?
Quick question, Chuck. And the tennis courts you have in here, there's approximate to completely replace. Is that 950,000?
Yes, I didn't want to shock anybody. Yeah, I have some ideas for that, but we'll bring that up at building committee. I hate to spend $50,000 a year to fix courts. It's almost like we should just borrow the money and build new courts for the kids and make a payment, but that's for further discussion. I'd rather do that than have bad money chasing, or good money chasing bad money. If we're going to be an ongoing problem, if a company's only going to warranty them for a year, I don't see spending taxpayers' money for that. If we're going to spend it, we might as well just do it right and try to put in new courts and come up with some ways to try to do it and make it right. And I'd rather pay a $50,000 payment a year for 10 or 12 years and put 50 grand into some old courts. And we just, at the end of 10 or 12 years, we're still going to have old courts instead of new courts. But like I said, maybe we'll propose that soon and see what the board thinks about it when we get out of building and committee.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Alicia. Thanks, Chuck. All right, now we are to our board discussion items, beginning with the music department presentation.
Thank you. Well, we are going to be very blessed tonight to hear from some of our students and staff. And so our music department in Swartz Creek has really just been amazing over the past few years, even through the pandemic. And some of our students are here to present. Mr. Luke is here, Mrs. Stevens, Murdoch, and also Mr. Blue Clay is here as well. So I'm not sure who we're starting with, but I'll turn it over to our staff and they can kind of start to run a presentation about our elementary all the way through high school music program.
All right, I guess it starts with me. Hello, my name is Alphonse Bouclé, and I am the music teacher over at Moorish Elementary, teaching the young fives to 2nd grade level. So far, I've really been working on meeting the students where they're at. We've been working on expression through movement, basically basic movement, dance, different styles of dance, reading rhythms, still getting that reading component in there, basic rhythms, quarter notes, eighth notes, getting them started really early, helping them healthily explore their voices, going from high sounds, low sounds, all the animal noises. My classroom definitely sounds like a zoo some days. And then world music and cultures. And what I'm doing here is I'm just bringing in different languages. They might not be saying the language, or they might not be singing the language, but they might be doing some dances like from Africa, Japan, Germany, some experiences from my own travels. Here we have a little look into my classroom. It is very colorful, as you can see. I have all those lines here. Actually, can we go back a little bit? So you can see there, I have my entire setup. That little stage back there, those used to be risers that I've just set to be flat, and that's actually my own teaching area. And all these lines here just ensures that students have their own space where they can safely move. And you can see my piano and guitar, and I'm just constantly shifting between those two instruments. All right. And then these are my boards, or what my walls look like. Up on the right side, you see my little boom whackers. These have been great for students to experience their first little instrument without breaking something that's $500. If they break something, it's more like $7. It's a lot better for them.
Thank you.
Oh yeah. I've been using a lot of online resources to help them improve their reading, and it's almost like their very first percussion instrument. On the left side is almost is my board of instruments, and we do a lot of listening to concerts, pulling up different ensembles, a lot. And they'll look at this board and they'll point out, oh, that's the flute or whatever that is. They can say, ooh, it's the shiny one. And next up. So unfortunately, I don't really have the opportunity to put on an end-of-the-year concert for my students because I don't see them for so long, for 2 weeks at a time. Oh, is that not working? Yeah, I don't know. All right, I guess I've just been talking this loud the entire time. Okay, so as you can see here, I have my students on their dots, and they might be dancing, singing. I know this past St. Patrick's Day, I had them sing Loch Lomond, on my bunny banks of Loch Lomond. And I send these home to the parents about every 2 weeks or a month or so, just so the parents get something, but this isn't published on YouTube. This is just whoever owns the link, and I send this to the homeroom teacher, and it sends out to whatever parent wants it. And future opportunities. So since this is my first year here at Morge Elementary, Schwartz Creek, I haven't really had the opportunity to establish any kind of like relationships between the district and my own connections. But I would like to have, hopefully in the future, the Al Ballet Folklorico Estudiantil Mariachi, the one I currently perform with. I would love to have them come in, show their instruments, give a little bit of exposure to Hispanic culture, reaching those students. In that same band, there's a lot of Flint jazz musicians, so it'd be great to have those guys come in. Not for a whole class, but maybe just a little exhibition. And then performance viewing opportunities. I know that the university is always open to having young students, young minds come in and see the concerts. I know I can arrange where students can come in for free, and parents would only have to pay like maybe $5 for admission fee. It's really cheap, it's really affordable, and it's really close to home. And that's all I got.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right. Good afternoon. My name is Rachel Stevens,
I'm Jean Murdoch.
and together we teach the bands here at Swartz Creek.
Well, we're going to take you through a tour of the year. Our year started in July. Catherine and Alec, we took them over to Smith Walbridge Camp. It's the oldest drum major camp in the country. We have previously taken kids to CMU for this, but they were still virtual. And our kids really wanted to have that in-person experience. So we took the 800-mile round trip twice in 1 week. And actually stopped off in Chicago for pizza on the way home, too. That was nice. They had not had Chicago pizza. But they learned a lot and really enjoyed it. Made some great friends, learned a ton of things. Alec was actually in the advanced conducting class, and I couldn't believe what they were having those kids conduct. I'm going, I know people in college that would have struggled
Yeah, I think
with
I had to
some of the
conduct them.
things. Yeah, they were tough things. Catherine was in the intermediate. She's the younger drum major, and she was in the intermediate class, and they both just did an outstanding job. Then you want to go?
Sure. Also in July, we took our leadership team, so all of our drum majors and section leaders, to an in-person leadership training that was held at Okemos High School. It was called Upbeat Global. And there they went through a day of sessions with Matthew Arau, led the sessions. And he's somebody that I had met through like my grad school studies, and I was like, they have to go train with him. And that was not only an opportunity for them to get to work with students from other schools, but really started the foundation of their teamwork together as a leadership team to bring back to our students. So it was a good day for them.
Then it's freshman camp and band camp time, and we had a great time at band camp and freshman camp. The kids did a wonderful job. We did our it was kind of a rock show this last year, and they did very well with it. You see Catherine marching with a boot still on. That happened at drum major camp, actually. But she made it through, and the band boosters were very thankful that the athletic boosters were gracious enough to share the concession stand for us to use for meals. We had all of our meals right in the stadium, and it was like a walk-up window for each course that the kids had for their meals, and drinks were there and everything. And the heat of the day, we were inside for sectionals, but it was great. Everything was right there, maintained in the stadium, and the kids ate underneath where it's shaded, and they really enjoyed it. A lot of team building. I was looking for some of the special pictures we had.
I like the sousaphone.
We'll see that.
Yeah.
Actually, you want to talk about this? Because this was...
Yeah, sure. So, you know, a big part of not just band, but any performing arts or anything that requires a lot of people to work together, you need to spend the time building those relationships and cultivating that team. And, you know, we made sure to do that with our students as well. One of the things that was really special about this year, or has been, is we've had a lot of freshmen, but they have been awesome. What was it, like 30?
So 33% of the band
Yeah.
is freshmen.
Just an incredible number. And even our leadership team was mostly juniors, only a couple seniors. And that didn't make things negative this year. In fact, quite the opposite. We had these like bright-eyed freshmen, and our leadership team was awesome. Just a really good atmosphere. I don't know. I feel like we didn't have to work that hard.
We didn't.
For it. 'Cause
It made our lives much
yeah,
easier.
they were happy to be there, and they were happy to be together. And because of that, they had a good time, and I think they performed well.
We did shut down a little bit in the afternoon. We had band Olympics in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And they were just goofy games. Just
Yeah.
goofy games, just to build their teams. And I think the brass team won, didn't they?
Yeah, the brass team won. They had some toilet paper mummies, and
Balloon tosses,
Yeah.
you know, shooting marshmallows into a sousaphone, you know, one of the old fiberglass sousaphone bells. And it was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun. Next event we had after our performance at the end of band camp, we had the Crim events downtown again this year, which we didn't get to do last year because of, you know, everything being shut down. It was great to be downtown again and support our Special Olympian runners and play a concert, you know, down on the corner for them. And then Saturday morning, out on the course. So it was really cool. And the runners were especially grateful this year. Then the football season begins, and there's Alec going crazy. I guess we can keep going, I guess.
yeah. We really just wanted to highlight kind of the energy that came out of the kids from the season. And not only what that brought for the season, but I think what that's going to bring for the future as well. It's a really great group of kids.
They went out to the elementaries during homecoming week again with the seniors did and performed with the cheerleaders and football players and POMs and had a great time with that. And next, when we got to homecoming, we had a really good-sized alumni band this year. It was really nice to have all of them back. And they stayed with us the entire game, almost all of them, to play down on the track, too. Marching Band Festival, once again at Goodrich High School. Our group received straight A's and straight ones, A's and A pluses, I should say. From our adjudicators, we had 3 adjudicators that were up in the press box, and our group received all A's from them. So we were very proud of that. It's been many years we've been getting straight ones at Marching Festival.
Toward the end of the season, we had the opportunity to take the marching band to Eastern Michigan University, and they performed at their band day. It's an event where they go there early in the morning, and then all of the bands come together and perform this mass halftime show. And then they also got to enjoy the football game as well.
Unfortunately, the good guys lost. Ball State won that day. Middle school concerts, great concerts. Halloween, and we have our guest who's in our room in October every year. Jeffy, he's the bottom left of your screen. That's our resident decomposer. And the kids always ask, at the beginning of the year, is Jeffy coming back? And I give composer clues, and they have to guess who Jeffy is portraying that year, or that day. Sometimes he's still a living composer, but we do cut slack on that.
We were able to end our season this year with our Dragon Spectacular, which is our end of the year marching band performance. That went well. You can see pictures of our drum line in the corner and our color guard. That was kind of a neat shot of Brady up in the top corner.
Next is the Christmas parade. We would have had middle school solo and ensemble that day also, but unfortunately, they postponed that until April because of the tragedy at Oxford High School. A lot of schools in District 3 MSBOA were not allowing their students to travel. It was that same couple-week window there. So a lot of students, parents didn't want them to attend another school, and that was understandable, so we just backed it up to April. Senior saxophonist Deanna Johnson and junior percussionist Philip Rodriguez were selected to the Eastern Michigan University Honors Band, High School Honors Band. I would say a majority of the students in that honors band are from the southeast side of Michigan. They both had a really good time and came back, even better players than they were when they went. Oh, should I say middle? Oh, this is middle school. Okay, middle school bands played Saturday of the first weekend of March here at Swartz Creek High School at the PAC. We hosted festival again this year. It saves a lot on busing. We thank you for letting us host. It's not fun to travel with middle schoolers necessarily on a Saturday morning. They don't like getting up that early if they have to travel. There were 10 middle school groups over the course of the 2 days, and I rechecked the poster this morning just to double check. And 10 middle school groups performed. Our 2 middle school groups were the only 2 to receive first division ratings over the course of the 2 days. So we're very proud of them for that. And even though they said, we didn't play our very best, I said, that's great that you didn't play your very best and it's still that good. That's really something to be proud of.
The day before, the high school band performed their festival performance, and they also received straight A's and an overall first division rating for their festival performance.
Several students, they are not all pictured here, but these are the students that went to state solo and ensemble this year. We had several students go to district solo and ensemble, and even though some of them received first division ratings and were eligible, they couldn't because of time constraints with other activities. But all of these students went and performed at state solo ensemble on our stage. It was virtual. That was virtual this year. District was in person and state was virtual. But all of these students received a first, with the exception of one student that received a second division rating, which is still very, very good. Go ahead.
Okay. 10th grader Evan Kozak, because of his performance for state solo and ensemble, was selected for the MSBOA State Honors Band for his high score at state solo and ensemble. That's a very prestigious thing to receive. They only take, how many
12.
trumpets? 12 trumpets in the
state.
entire state. So the top 12 scores receive it, and he received one of those spots. So, as a sophomore.
Yeah, ironically, Philip Rodriguez's score was even higher, but they have percussionists that went a higher, more advanced proficiency than he did. So they will take them first, but Philip's score only missed 1 point from a perfect score on his. Also, we were sad that he didn't get selected too, but probably next year. This is all you.
Yeah. We had a group of students, approximately 15 students, that were able to come together and rehearse to provide a live pit orchestra this year for the SpongeBob musical. That was a good time with a really good group. So,
Great show. Just a couple weeks ago, we did a 5th grade recruitment concert. Thank you for allowing us to bring the kids to us, and the band got to do one performance. And we had demonstrations of every instrument in the program. And the percussion ensemble did their body percussion piece for the kids, demonstrations of every instrument. We did songs the kids they really like. They love Pixar music. We did that for them. And numbers are starting to come in for 5th grade, registering for 6th grade, and it's looking pretty good. Do you want to speak about the instrument drive that goes with that kind of?
So we did decide that we would like to do an instrument drive, which you may have already been aware of. We want to be able to provide more instruments for students that are in need that won't have access to an instrument otherwise. And we thought that there may be people in the community that have an instrument sitting around at home that they're not using. This pertains to band instruments to help out our band students, but also to tag on that, we're also starting guitar classes next year at the high school. And I would love to be able to take donations for used guitars as well, because though I am hoping to get guitar set in the classroom, if those students don't have guitars to practice at home, maybe they could get a donated guitar to practice there. So we're looking to get,
Quick question.
Yes.
Acoustic guitars or solid body guitars?
Acoustic would be great.
So our spring concert was last evening, and we did honor our 9 seniors. You'll see students there, the group of trombone players. They did a quartet. They were coached by Mr. Murdoch, who lives at my house. He comes in and works with the kids every week. He does some private lessons at the middle school and the high school. He comes and spends the day, and then he coaches softball after school. But he coached that group, and then 2 of the guys that received ones at state solo and ensemble were brave enough to play their solos. Philip Rodriguez played his Tornado snare drum solo, and Samuel Machado played a Chopin piece for us too. The bands, I thought both bands, jazz band and the symphony band, did a beautiful job last night. And this is today. We were outside enjoying the sunshine. The kids have been asking for a while, can we go outside? And these are some of our beginners. They're at the later part of this month. They're going to have a special solo and ensemble for them. 6th graders are not allowed to go to MSBOA solo and ensemble like the 7th grade through high school did. And these kids are going to have their own special one. We have the medals we provide, and I am hiring 2 judges that are current MSBOA judges that have done it for us in the past. And the kids are pretty excited. They can do that, or they could practice their chromatic scale challenge. If they can play every note on that back page of their book in order, and, it's got to be respectable and steady. They get to come to a pizza party on me the last week of school, too. And you're on.
Mr. Luke, hold on just a second. I'm sorry. Are there particular instruments you're looking for? I mean, any idea?
Saxophones, I'm kidding. I'm just naming everything.
Clarinet?
I would say
Anything.
Anything?
We have one trumpet that's been donated. We have a parent that has emailed me that her child has graduated. They're going to donate.
Thinking of a family that might have some instruments at home and they haven't been used for a long time. If they bring them to you, will they be repaired or?
We do have a repair budget.
Okay.
We have a repair budget, and we'll use, what we have of that.
Okay, or if they were repaired in advance, you would accept those?
Amazing.
Okay, thank you.
That'd be even better.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you, Mr. Luke.
Oh, sure. I'm going to move this up a little bit. There we go. My name is Jared Luke. I am the choir director at both the high school and the middle school. Travis, you can go ahead. Thank you. We had a banner year this year. It was a strange but really nice year. There's a lot of events. I'm going to go through them very quickly, but some of them they were unexpected. And I will start off by just telling you that there are departments out there in the vicinity that aren't back after the COVID shutdown. There just aren't as many groups out there anymore, and it gave more opportunities for Swartz Creek kids to go and fill in, and when they did, they impressed, and they were like, wow, I didn't know. Well, you haven't invited us yet. So here we are for the first time. So here we go. For the first time, not for the first time, we were one of the only groups in the last couple of years to continue doing the Chamber Choir Invitational from U of M. Last year it was virtual. We had every kid sing their part all the way through their pieces of music we've set and recorded them. It took us days to do that. So we virtually participated, but this year it was a live event and we were back. And we sang with several different schools. And it was kind of interesting this year. They only asked graduates from U of M Flint to bring their groups. And so I was up there with a bunch of alumni that were up there and they brought their groups. It was just fantastic to hear them. Kind of neat for me at that point. So that was early. That was October. And then following that month, just a couple weeks later, we were invited to sing a large work, John Rutter's Requiem. And it's a major work, a tremendous undertaking. We started working on it from day one, pretty much. Is that true, Mads? Day one. Here it is. Welcome to Madrigals. Here, start learning this piece. And we were there, and the schools you do see up there, Grand Blanc, Flushing, Durand, and Mount Morris, they all brought their top groups to be part of this rather large choir. And it was conducted by several of the directors. I chose not to. I was sitting in the back helping with technology, which is one of my other passions, trying to help the concert stream properly. It was just a fantastic opportunity for us to do something. We usually combine with other schools to make these large choirs, to pull on these very, very difficult pieces of music. Very proud of our madrigals for their participation in that. The entire department was given the opportunity to Christmas carol through the village, and over the years we've tried to do that. If it gets too cold, we don't go, or if it's sleeting, we don't go and we cancel it. But this year the conditions were right. We had a lot of high school. It was 12th grade down to 6th grade. We were wearing lights, we had Santa hats, and we took a portable keyboard with us and we walked around and sang for different locations. One of the parents asked that we would stop by and sing for their parent who wasn't so healthy for that particular, and had been shut in for many months, and just to see them come out to the porch and we sang for them, to see their face light up, we had a great time with that. We were cold, but it was a wonderful time to be out there and singing. Also, I didn't put it in the presentation, but we also visited the elementaries, took the madrigals out and in women's ensemble parts of them to go and sing. And that's always a good time. It lets the kids see, what's available at the high school level. And we always have a good time there because it's interesting to see them just quiet down and just listen. They have that attention span. They have that desire to listen to music, and we sing for them and we enjoy it almost as much, I hope, as they do. So we visited all the elementaries this year for that. We also hosted again the Michigan School Vocal Music Association District 3 Solo and Ensemble Festival. That is literally its title. And we've been doing this for quite a while, almost as long as the PAC has been open. We have such a fantastic facility. Our surrounding community loves coming to visit and to be on our stage. They love our piano, as you can imagine. That piano is very coveted amongst the other directors. They always comment on that when they come to play. And we hosted that, and our own participants did very well. Every single one of our events this year qualified for state. And we did an excellent job. The groups did too, of which madrigals, that's when they compete, is at the Solo Ensemble Festival. We also did host Choral Festival this year. And just to give you an idea of how down the area is in terms of participation in programs that are out there, normally we would have 2 full days packed of schools coming and sending their choirs to be part of that festival. We were less than a full day of choirs coming, and many schools were absent. When we called to see how they were doing, they were just simply, some of them were like, we don't have a choir. Some of them very close to us that were juggernauts, very huge programs, just in a couple of years now have 16 in the department. What you're going to see tonight is 16 who are in one class. And their entire department has been decimated there. So the area is down for vocal music, and we still had a very quality festival. The groups that did come to our festival were the top-notch groups from those schools. And we had a lot of Division I's at District, but I would like to tell you, as you can see from the bottom there, that our varsity chorale received the highest high school rating of the day at 117 out of 120. They were only topped by one middle school class from Davison who got 119 out of 20, so there's a little teeny grudge in there for me, but they did a fantastic job. The varsity just swung for the fences and got it. State Solo Ensemble. Mads went there, and just simply put, we it achieved everything we were hoping for. State solo ensemble went very well. They received a Division I. Our sight reading at that point was fantastic. All of our solos went and performed very well, received Division Is. Very strong year performance-wise from the vocal department. I was very proud of them. Also, and relatively recently, madrigals and women's ensemble, and we're invited to perform with New Century Chorale, which is a professional adult choir in our area. That we were singing at St. Paul, downtown Flint, which is a fantastic church to sing in, just beautiful acoustics. It was a great honor because they don't ask many schools to come sing. They'll ask other professional choirs to come sing and join them for a choir concert, and they asked us to be on their final concert. The concert was called How Can I Keep From Singing? And the director asked that I would bring my women's ensemble and sing the title track for the concert. And I just want to give a shout out to, madrigals, can you raise your hand, those of you who were in the play, please? We, myself and you heard from Ms. Stevens in the pit, we were doing the last performance of SpongeBob on that Sunday. And as soon as the curtain closed, we ran to our cars, drove to the church, got dressed in our formals, got on stage and performed that concert. And at the end of it, I think most of us collapsed. They had to kind of sweep us into the cars at that point. But I just want to commend those people who had to perform SpongeBob at a tremendous high level. You got to be on stage and do that, and then run off and do this very prestigious concert. And I'm very proud of them for doing so. It was an awesome concert. And then, just yesterday, we were at Alma College and representing Swartz Creek at the State Choral Festival. And I have some interesting things to let you know from here. That's the big picture at the top there is both choirs together, 65 students went. The lower picture is varsity and madrigals combined, and they were 61 of the 65. And then a lot of the personnel from this were also in women's ensemble. When we walked in the door for our clinic, the lady who was running that said, "You are the biggest choir we have here this year." So at 61, that was the largest by far that they had at the festival, which is a nice thing to know. But even at Swartz Creek, we've taken groups of 90 to 100. And to be told that we were the largest group that was going to state at this, I was kind of floored by that. They've got Division Is, both of them, excellent performances. And I got to meet Dr. Will Nichols, who is the director at Alma. And we had never met before, but we had corresponded over kids who had graduated and been in his program, and he wanted to meet me. And he came in to listen to us sing, and he remarked to me later on that he says, you know, the area of Swartz Creek, it's getting to be known for its fine arts. And I'm like, great, fantastic. We've had many graduates go and sing in his program, which is an excellent choral program. And I was just very proud of how they handled themselves. We've completed 2 successful concerts. We had to let go of our pre-festival concert because they had to move actual choral festival, and they moved it to our pre-festival date. And I'm like, why would we do a concert right after we sing at festival? It doesn't make any sense anymore, so we let that go. But our pop concert, as you heard, is for next Thursday at 7. I encourage you to come. The theme is 1960s, so if you're interested in that kind of music, we're gonna have some fun. And just to let you know where the middle school stands, we have a 6th grade chorus and a combined 7th and 8th grade chorus. They're semester length classes. Because they're semester length, they can't compete, but they are they're on fire. Those kids are ready to go, and especially my 6th grade. I cannot even match their energy daily. I walk in the door and they're ready to go. So we have a good crop of kids coming up, if you will. And that's pretty much it. You can see there's a whole bunch of them up there. Just about every performance is represented up there. Lots of kids that are just interested in the program and such, and I'm very happy that there's the elementaries at the very top. So, have any questions for me? And if not, that's okay too.
The pop concert, that was Thursday at 7?
Thursday at 7. Yeah. Okay.
So from the other schools, not that you have to speak to specifics, I'm just curious, what are some of the trends? Are students not participating or budgets being cut? I'm just kind of curious what might be some of the causes for their decrease.
For the ones that I've been able to talk to, and again, I've made phone calls, and they're not so willing to talk. Some of them, they're very upset. But to our immediate east district right next to us, they were virtual one more year, and he was trying to teach choir to kids at home. You can't really do it. And when they finally got back to in person, only a few kids came back. So he's and he's a young teacher. He's trying very hard to rebuild. Others, yes. There's at least one district I know of that has reallocated funds because they're trying to get something else started, and they kind of said to them, just wait just a little bit and we'll get to you. Hopefully they recover. I'm concerned a little bit of our district. District 3 is kind of like the hidden gem in Michigan. It's Lapeer, Genesee, and a little bit of the surrounding counties pulled together. We are constantly, when we bring judges in from around the state to judge Choral Festival, they're like, I didn't know you guys were this good over here. And I'm like, we are. We have quality programs in this area. And as a part of the greater community, I'm a little bit saddened by that, but I'm very thankful for our year. We had a banner year this year, fantastic year, and I'm hoping next year will be even better. So,
Thank you, Mr. Luke, as always, and it does warm my heart, and it's very encouraging to hear you say that outside of our district, people perceive us to be known for fine arts, because I think that's something that we've been working toward for a very long time.
and thank you.
Thank you for all you do to support that, as well as the remainder of our educators who presented tonight. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. So
Thank you.
thanks for being here, and I think you have a
I
presentation.
do. I seem to have set my piano up backwards. I think maybe would it be okay if you the audience wants to come over here, maybe we can kind of turn, or you can stay where you are. We're going to perform a piece from the state solo ensemble that we took for Mads only, and then we're also going to perform a piece we did yesterday at State Choral. Let's do this. Mads, can you want to make like a line here, and I'll turn the piano a little bit this way. We'll perform to the board. So the sopranos go over there a little bit. Yeah, put the mezzos there, and altos, and tenors. And I'll turn this a little bit, and we'll make the best we can.
Are we doing a semicircle or are we actually forming?
Yeah, are we doing the rows or are we doing a line? I think they're doing rows. Oh, yeah, they're doing like 2 rows, okay. Just kind of stand. I'm right here. We'll be cute.
Maybe.
We'll start with I Love My Love.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your school year.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so
you all.
much.
I was just gonna say, I was hoping for the kindergartners and third graders.
You did a great job.
In addition.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jean.
Appreciate the presentation and all the work you're doing. Thank you.
Leave that until tomorrow. Can I get that?
Thank you. Wow. Pretty amazing. All right.
We have some very talented instructors, that create a lot of passion, and just draw the kids in here. I just think this is wonderful.
Very good. Okay. Well, now we're going to go to our staffing presentation.
Not to bring the excitement level way down, but you're just going to basically get a little bit of an update on how we do this. And I know that in many of our conversations, we talk a little bit about how we go through the staffing process, but I think it's important for the public to also understand kind of our process. And so when we do staffing, and this is the time of year where that happens, people get a little bit interested on, who's going to be teaching what and how many teaching positions are we going to have available and who's retiring and who are the administrators going to be. And so as you've seen over the course of the past few weeks, we've typically end of April, early May, you start to see the administrative shifts. And that's where we kind of understand a little bit more about who is going to be in the district. And so obviously with the resignation of Mr. Powers at the Virtual Learning Center and the retirement of Mrs. Lashbrook at Moorish, that precipitated kind of a series or a domino effect of events. And so we make those shifts and we get those placements decided. And we're also asking for retirement information from teachers. There's an early retirement incentive for our teaching staff, which is typically given to us in March. And so we kind of understand a little bit more then about how we're going to plan. We met 3 times with our administrative teams to determine what our teaching staffing levels are going to be. And what that does is we look at the number of students that we're going to have. And at the elementary level, it's fairly straightforward, right? So we know we have this many students in the class in 3rd grade, and so therefore we can somewhat mildly predict who's going to be moving to the 4th grade class. It's much more challenging at the high school. And so at the high school and middle school, where kids are picking a variety of different classes and all sorts of different things, you have AP classes, you have support classes, you have, kids that want to go over to the GCI building and take some of those CTE courses. And so what we do there is we start with the premise of what do students want to take? And that then serves as the premise for what schedule we're going to build. So for example, as Mr. Luke said, or Mrs. Stevens said, we're going to have sections of guitar next year because that's what students indicated they wanted to take, right? So we build kind of a twofold approach. So what do kids request and what are they looking for? And then we say, what staff do we have that can feasibly teach those courses who are certified and qualified to do so? And then we take a look at retirements and, how many students we're going to have and so on and so forth. And obviously kindergarten's the toughest one to predict, but you'll see probably this week, Friday, you'll see a number of postings going out for the remainder of our teaching staff positions that'll be posted. And the reason we do that is we like to try and interview and get people locked in for the fall fairly early, because people that start looking for jobs, both administrators and teachers, they're doing so this time of year. And so it makes for a really nice opportunity to get some of the cream of the crop when we post early like that. Our support staffing is based on a system. We look at student needs. And so obviously if we need a paraprofessional at an elementary school, a lot of that's driven by, IEPs and things like that. And we're also looking, of course, at, what can we afford within the budgets and projected amounts that we both have left that the board has approved. And then, for projecting into next year, what it would likely be. So all of these things kind of come together. And I just wanted to kind of make that statement that it's not something that we just kind of come up with out of a hat. It's a very systematic process that we look at and we start to identify student and community needs and then also what our staff is capable of teaching. And this is probably one of the more understated things, but we also try to put our staff in positions where they're going to be the most successful. So sometimes teachers get caught teaching classes that they're not overly passionate about, or maybe wasn't what they really signed up to do, but they needed a job. We don't really like placing people in positions just so that they have a job, right? We're looking at placing people in the best fit. And so we make some of those decisions, and sometimes there are some shifts and changes and needs that come up across the district. So that's going on now. Teaching positions and many of those professional jobs will be posted at the end of this week. And then I would say by the end of May, you're going to see a slew of support staff positions that will also be posted for the upcoming year, some of which are positions that have not been filled, some of which are in response to people retiring, and so on and so forth. So it's a busy season for that, trying to predict and plan. But while we're certainly doing a lot of end of the year things and celebrating our kids this year, we are also dually thinking about what is coming for next year. And so that's a big part of what we do. So I wanted to make sure you understood that process and how we do that. And if you have any questions, that's fine. But I wanted also for the public to understand, when to anticipate some of those.
Thanks, Ben. Any questions for Ben? All right, stay tuned. Right?
Stay tuned.
All right. Okay, moving on. We do have several board action items, beginning with the approval of the GISD 22-23 budget. And I do believe Alyssa was able to attend, and she has some information to share with us.
Thank you. So Ms. Lenave and I were the delegates. I was the alternate and she was the primary, and I had the pleasure of attending this year. Jessica had a conflict, but I was happy to go. And so I'm not going to review all the detail because, of course, there's a lot. However, I do have some information to pass out, and I'll hit some highlights just so you know what you're voting on. So what I'm passing out first is what was given to me as our representative as an overview of some of the services that the GISD provides that benefits Swartz Creek. And of course, Mr. Micah can speak more specifically to any of these if you have questions. He has, of course, a lot more detail. They reviewed each and every part of their budget with those of us who were there, 21 districts represented with a board representative. So they reviewed all the specifics on the general education fund, the special education fund, the career technical education fund, the enterprise fund, and then they had some miscellaneous other funds. So overall, the total revenue beginning fund balance, $251,904,000. No, I have that wrong. Yes, I have that right. $660. Jessica, I always wonder how you read these numbers every month. And then total expenditures, $197,234,497. Two things that came up that I thought I should highlight that some of our colleagues from other districts asked about that I thought this board might be interested in. One was more about the Genesee Opportunity Fund and how that, as many of you know, is passed through millage, and we pay our taxes on that, and really available to any student who is eligible, attending college, career technical, and other, I think, qualifying after high school. And it's, they're not able to distribute it to everyone who is eligible because not everyone is applying. So there was some conversation about how we could encourage as many of our students to apply for that as possible. I believe this year, I know last year my son got $2,000 because it increased, but I think this year it might have been $1,000, or maybe that's the flip of that. So it's, funding scholarships for college. I was happy to see our counseling department, has been spreading the word about that. I know I've received, as a parent of a high schooler, several communications. So I would just encourage all of us to continue spreading that information. The second one was more specifically budget related, and a question from one of our colleagues about the fund balance that they maintain at the GISD, which I believe is around 30%. And they said they've been getting some questions from constituents of how high that fund balance is and how we could explain that, which I think is a very good question. I believe most school districts, individual school districts, try to keep ours around 16% or so. That's kind of the standard. And so their response to that was because they are not able to have a sinking fund, and they do have a lot of buildings, a lot of facility needs to maintain over time. that they keep a higher fund balance so that they can help support that and plan for future facility needs. So those were two items that were brought up as questions I thought you might be interested in. Any questions and/or questions for Ben related to the specifics here, or anything you want to add, Ben?
No, I think it is quite a long process, and so I appreciate, Mrs. Parks going, and Mrs. Lene has done that in the past, but the idea is that we adopt a delegate, the delegate goes and participates in the vote there. It now has come back to the local district, so you will vote on the budget, and then it goes back to the actual GISD board for a final approval. So it's quite a long process. With that amount of money, they want to make sure there are a lot of, stops along the way, so.
Thanks, Ben. Thanks, Alyssa. Appreciate that. Any other questions before I entertain a motion for approval? All right, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Jessica?
Support.
Chuck? Any comments or questions? All right, hearing none. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the GISD 2022-2023 budget review as presented. Sue, could you do roll call, please?
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Jessica LaNave,
Yes.
Alicia Gardner,
Yes.
Brian Sapanic,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Alyssa Parks.
Yes.
7 yes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, and thanks again, Alyssa, for attending. I know it is interesting to learn all of the background. Okay, moving on.
One other thing, she brought us a nice leather carry. I wanted to mention that. But you should mention that, Alyssa.
I'd forgotten, thanks, Chuck. So every district received the theme this year was building bridges, and so there was a poem and a piece of art that someone at the GISD had created, and so each district was given a framed kind of copy of that, which was really nice. There's a lot going on there. Truthfully, it was really interesting and a good overview, but I found myself thinking, what parts of this are Swartz Creek really, able to benefit from? I assume a lot, but, there's so much, it was hard to make. So I didn't ask any of that. I thought, well, I'll ask Ben about that.
Yeah, and I think one point to piggyback off of that, which is really interesting, is that Swartz Creek is the #1 sending high school in the entire Genesee County for the GCI program. Part of that is because it's literally in our district, right? So our kids are driving to a facility that's still in our school district. So that is a real big part of it. And the other part of it is we have a number of kids that want to explore those technical career fields. And so we are a pretty big consumer of the GCI program. In fact, bigger than any other school district in Genesee County.
All right. Another good piece of trivia for the evening. Thank you for sharing that. All right, let's move on to the approval of our PAT employment.
At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Kitchen to come up, and we are very excited to present to you this evening a potential new member of our administrative team.
Yes, so about a month ago, we did a posting for an AP. We received 50 candidates, and then, as Mr. Micah mentioned, the cream of the crop really comes out this time of year, and I had the opportunity to screen and narrow it down to 15 candidates based on experience and what we were looking for at the high school. With that, Mr. Micah suggested that we do it all day. We spent a day screening candidates so that we could really narrow down our pool. We narrowed it down to 6 candidates. And with that, we decided, because it was really a great pool of candidates, we had 10 members on an interview, because you imagine how intimidating that would be for candidates coming in. So we had student representation, board representation, parent representation, teachers, secretary, and administration. And with that, we asked them a series of questions with all 6 candidates, and really all 6 candidates did a wonderful job. But our team, we decided to send 2 candidates to Mr. Micah, and he did the final interview, and our team selected Mrs. Heather Briggs to be our AP starting in the fall. And so with that, I give you Miss Heather Briggs as for recommendation for hire.
Thank you for having me here tonight. It was a special night to come with the magical performance. I thought that was lovely. It gave me chills. But it's one of the things that just goes to show that I really feel like I'm in the right place. I love what your school stands for in terms of a family community, strong community support. That support for the fine arts program is very impressive. The progressive nature of your district is something that I'm really in line with and I'm excited for. So I appreciate the opportunity to interview with your school and the opportunity to hopefully step into the assistant principal position. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. Any questions for Heather before we vote? No? All right. With that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Brian and Alyssa, any comments or questions? Hearing none, let's see. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the pat employment of Heather Briggs, Assistant Principal at Swartz Creek High School as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Brian Sapanic,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Alyssa Parks,
Yes.
Alicia Gardner,
Yes.
and Jessica Lenny.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion passes. Welcome. We're happy to have you, Heather. All right, let's move on to the approval of the SCEA collective bargaining agreement. Ben?
Yeah, this has been a process that's been in the works for a while, as I know you as a board have been kept up to speed throughout the process, but negotiations and collective bargaining is something that's done between, you know, our collective bargaining unit, the Swartz Creek Education Association, and the district. And ultimately, you as the board, as the fiduciaries, will make the decision on whether you will accept this agreement. I will tell you that the SCEA held their general membership meetings the last 2 days and have passed the collective tentative agreement, the collective bargaining tentative agreement. This is a 4-year contract. It provides stability for the district for 4 years. It provides, an opportunity for our teachers, both from a recruitment standpoint and also from a retention standpoint, that I'm excited about. I will say, if this is approved by you in this motion, and there's a motion to approve it, the classes will start, and this is one of the things that the community has been asking for. So I will send an email this evening as soon as the board meeting is over, if it's passed. The first day of school will be August 23rd. I know a lot of people are asking about that. And more details would be released after that. But this is a tremendous, I think, victory for our school district, in the sense of it was a tremendously collaborative process. The teachers came with really a heart for how to help the district. Obviously, they're thinking about their own, members in that process, but they're also thinking about the district, and it was really a team effort. And that has helped us go through some difficult situations and difficult times. And it's also helpful to us when we can give back. But I'm very proud of our teachers and the way that they came prepared for this. And I have this collective bargaining agreement recommendation for your approval this evening.
Thanks, Ben. I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Alicia and Jessica. Any comments or questions?
Mr. Meinke, when you send out the email, not that you will go into great detail, but will you speak a little bit to there's been a lot of conversation on social media lately about moving to a balanced calendar. Not that you would address that, but just some of the rationale for starting a little bit earlier, because I believe some of the goals for everyone involved was having more breaks during the year, what we've learned about that. So I just was curious how, what might be good to share with the community for some of the rationale.
Certainly, yeah, and I think even for the good of anyone watching this board meeting, and obviously we've talked about this at the board table, I don't think there's any interest in going to a true balanced calendar in our community or on this board. or for that matter, from the teachers. So I don't think that that was ever a conversation. But I do think that there was a conscious decision to look at throughout the year, especially with the social emotional pieces with our kids over the past couple years. What we have learned is that our kids just quite frankly need a little bit of a break from each other, and our staff needs a little bit of a break once in a while too. And so what we're finding is that having maybe a full 3.5-month summer or something like that, while it's wonderful, and we do want to make sure there's a healthy summer break, and we do think that's important also, if we could take some of those days and just add maybe a 4-day weekend here, a 4-day weekend there, just sprinkles in a little bit more of a break for our kids and for the staff. And so after we came back from President's Weekend, or when we came back from Thanksgiving break, instantly our staff and students came with a different level of energy and a different level of preparedness. And so it's tangible, and you can feel that in the culture. And so one of the goals I think we had was to say, we don't want to be starting at the beginning of August and going through mid-July. That is what a lot of districts on a true balance calendar, they literally have a week off in the summer, and they're going all year round. Davison does a hybrid model. They do call it a balanced calendar, but it's really not. It's really a calendar where they kind of go towards, I'd say, the second week of August, and then they go through the entire month of June. We're not interested in going that far, but we did, say, hey, if we could find those breaks, we think that's healthy for kids, and it still gives our community and our families a really healthy, 9-week, plus summer break, which is really, I think, accomplishing a variety of goals there.
All right, thanks, Ben. All right, did I ask? And yes, we
Carrie, I have one more
yes.
question.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Were you asking a question? Or were we gonna
Nope,
vote?
go ahead.
Okay, before we vote, I just want to clarify one thing. This master contract that we have in front of us is everything pretty much we reviewed in closed door, Ben? There's been no
Yes.
major changes without having us to read through it all?
No change.
That's what I wanted to know. So we're voting on this, but we reviewed it all in depth in our allowed closed session meetings.
That is
Comes
correct.
in negotiations, okay. Because I don't want to vote on nothing that's been changed. Right. Thank you.
All right, great.
Carrie, I just think it is also a good, thank you for mentioning that, Chuck, but it's good to note for the public too. I know there's a lot of question on, who and how and when the calendar does get set, but it is negotiated. I think it's a testament to our educational staff, their dedication, for one, their own career path, but our students, and then their own personal health and well-being through all of this as well. So it has been belabored. I think we can apologize to the public, but it really is a contract that suits the educational needs of our children, the social emotional health, as Ben spoke to, and then the professional needs of our staff. We are a highly sought-after district in this county, and that speaks volumes. And we need to, acknowledge that, and I think all worked really diligently, but thank you, Ben, as well, and Rod. A lot of negotiation with our staff. So it was long, sorry, to the district and the community, but, we have something that everybody agreed to, and it's why we don't put out a calendar until it's part of the negotiation piece. So it comes in that contract is why it is not yet out.
Yeah, thanks, Alicia, and kudos to the union leadership who were, like Ben said, very collaborative, and I know that helped immensely. So thank you, and thanks to them. And with that, I am going to read the motion. Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the SCEA collective bargaining agreement as presented. Sue, can you do roll call, please?
Brian Sapanic,
Yes.
Jessica LaNave,
Yes.
Alyssa Parks,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Alicia Gardner,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you, motion passes. It's great news. All right, next we're going to the approval of the Swartz Creek Hockey Cooperative.
So I want to give you a little heads up. I know there have been some conversations via email. We've had some face-to-face conversations in, different contexts, but the Swartz Creek Community Schools had a hockey collaborative with Flushing. And, unfortunately, a lot of students in high school, they don't play school hockey. They play a USA or a club hockey. And we struggled this past year with numbers and being competitive. And so one of the things that has kind of come forward, and Adrian has been a part of the conversations, as well as the athletic directors from Goodrich, Davison, Flushing, and Swartz Creek High Schools. And the idea would be the MHSAA allows a cooperative, like hockey, to exist between as many local high schools as you can, but you can't go over 5,000 students total population. So in this particular arrangement between Davison, Flushing, Swartz Creek, and Goodrich, we're going to be sitting just under 5,000. So we do meet that stipulation. And so what that would mean is that, the team would be composed of students from those schools. We have heard from all 4 schools that there would be an increased level of participation, even of some of the club hockey players. And I think it's an excellent, opportunity for our kids. And if there is an abundance of kids that want to play, we would be able to open it up even to a JV team. So Adrian is here if you have any questions, but that is there for your approval this evening.
Thanks, Ben. Any questions for Adrian?
And you may not know this, sorry, Misty. With that being 4 schools, and I know that, like you said, most are in the clubs, is there enough competition out locally, or are we talking they're going to have to go quite a ways to participate?
We actually think that there would be better competition. We would join in Davison's, the Saginaw Valley League. So, we would change our home ice. Our home ice would now be at Pirani, downtown. We wouldn't be skating at Iceland anymore. But Davison would be the lead on this entire thing, and we would go through the process of hiring a coach. I know we just hired one last year. But we would, give him an opportunity to interview, as well as Davison's Hall of Fame coach with a ton of experience and stuff like that. So we're talking about providing an opportunity. Number one, Davison's program would crumble. They would no longer be able to have a hockey program if they didn't join a cooperative. So that was the unique position, the MHSAA making that bigger allowance, because they're seeing hockey numbers dwindle in every community. And we have a lot of kids that are in our hallways that aren't skating, just because we haven't provided a team that's very competitive, even locally. So, the thought process is, number one, it's going to give our kids more of an opportunity. We get more kids in Swartz Creek involved in this cooperative. And, then it would also help out a program that is they're seeing their numbers struggle. So, to me, it's a win-win for everybody. I know that Flushing's board voted on this yesterday, and they approved it. That's what we're kind of seeking from you guys too.
What other district was in it, Ben? I'm sorry.
Goodrich, Flushing, and Davison.
How many kids do we have, Adrian?
This year,
Yes.
for hockey, we had
One?
one
That was
player.
it?
He was our goalie, and he's a very good goalie.
Okay.
But,
We don't take nothing from him.
but he gets beat up because we didn't have a lot of kids with a lot of experience. Our numbers have been really
that
low,
bad.
and by joining this, we're hoping to carry, number one, a bigger roster and
Yeah.
have some of that, leveling. So we're not putting just freshmen out there that
Hopefully
don't
we
know how to
get a
skate.
couple more kids up there.
And
What's
then,
Flushing at? What's Flushing at? Do you know that number?
Flushing has about 12.
Oh, they have more.
Yeah.
Quite a bit.
And then Davison would bring another 8. Goodrich had 1 also.
That's it.
And then they're hoping that 4 or 5 would come. We're hoping 4 or 5 would come. So we're trying to use this as a stepping stone to rebuild our own programs and create some of that pride. And then hopefully, in a couple of years, we can break off and we would have our own independent hockey program, maybe with just Flushing or with just Goodrich or whatever the situation allows.
It's great that you came up with it.
And this boys only?
That's a great question. I think girls could participate because we don't offer that.
I know they have in the past.
Yeah. I think it's kind of like wrestling. I think that girls can participate because we don't offer girls hockey.
Just say it.
Yeah.
I see it on here, it's, there's a question mark. Do you know, I'm assuming it's dependent on the number of kids interested of doing a varsity and a JV team? Or is there just a plan for just a varsity team?
Right now, our biggest thing is we're hoping that we can field a solid varsity team. But normal hockey numbers and even travel hockey numbers are usually about 20 to 22 per team. We're talking about keeping 28 to 30, just because we know that we're going to have to keep some of those younger kids involved because we want to build this program. We don't want to deter kids from not participating. So if we got 40 kids out or 45 kids out, then that's where we would start talking about providing a JV opportunity as well.
Thanks, Adrian. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right. With that, I would entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Support.
Jack, Brian, any
That was
comments?
Chuck.
Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck. You were channeling Jack. All right, any comments or questions? Be it resolved that the Swartz Creek Community Schools Board of Education approves the Swartz Creek Hockey Cooperative with Davison, Flushing, and Goodrich as presented. Sue, could you do a roll call, please?
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Alyssa Parks,
Yes.
Alicia Gardner,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey,
Yes.
Jessica Lenave,
Yes.
Brian Sapanic,
Yes.
Jack Sayer.
Yes.
7 yes.
Thank you. Motion passes. Thank you again. All right, now's our opportunity for public comments. If anybody would like to address the board, please step forward, state your name, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. I'm not seeing anyone, but I'm going to give you ample time to do that. All right. Let's see, let's move on to comments and questions from the board. Anyone?
Just have a comment. First of all, thank you for the performing arts presentation. I was intrigued and impressed that they're looking at recruitment also. So those recruitment concerts and, starting to engage the younger early is how we build programs. So between that and then this cooperative, I'm just impressed with our administrative team that they're looking at growth and it's not just the day-to-day work, but looking ahead and putting in those enticement and recruitment type of programs. I love the Christmas Carol thing. I think that's awesome. And I actually wrote it down and said, you need to take that back to your boosters. That could be a great fundraiser. I'd pay $20 for you to show up at my mom's house and sing a Christmas Carol for an hour or whatever, I mean, probably more than that for an hour. But anyway, those kinds of opportunities, or even businesses, bringing in for your staff. And so a good opportunity with that. Be awesome for the band to go with you, as they're doing the Christmas parade and stuff. So it's just exciting to see the growth. It also, I just want to say, kind of feels like we're getting back to normal or whatever that is. So that's exciting to feel as well. So just thank you to everybody that's still looking forward and looking at new ways to develop the district as a whole.
Thanks, Alicia. Go ahead, Brian.
I've been here a long time, and I'll tell you, I am always impressed by our music programs, our choir, the band, Miss Murdoch, you, Luke, Mr. Luke. And like Mr. Briggs said, it gave you chills. Yeah, to hear those groups sing, and we were right in front, and it was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Thank you.
Line here, I guess. So, yes, absolutely, kudos. Just, I don't want to reiterate, but yes, absolutely. And Adrian's been doing a great job with athletics as well.
Yes.
I mean, just so many great stories. And so many more people are hearing about these good things because of our social media presence, at least those of us and others on social media. It's been really, really great to see how much of the good news is being shared about Swartz Creek via that realm. And not everyone's on social media, but it is very powerful. And so I do think Ms. Corbett and others that are sending her ideas are doing a great job of that.
All right. Jessica?
I do want to comment, and I feel so bad for not remembering his last name. But Alphonse Bouclé, thank you. When we did our tours of the elementary, we got to see him in action in the classroom, and it was just delightful to see and hear the energy, the kids. Like, I know that we saw the picture of how they were spaced out and how colorful it was, but it was just a phenomenal experience. And to the whole music department, I want to say, I had a daughter that was in marching band for 4 years and is still in college, and both Mrs. Murdoch and, I can't remember. Thank you, Miss Stevens, like, ooh, I'm losing it tonight, made such a dramatic impact on her, and the passion as well for the arts in this district is wonderful. And every time I see the madrigals, I love it and I appreciate it, Mr. Luke. And I really feel terrible that the last time they performed for us, I don't think they got a standing ovation, because they deserved it, because they are amazing. And so thank you for all the efforts that you put in. And I will say, Mrs. Briggs, welcome. We are delighted to have you here. And thank you for your energy and what you said. It was really nice. I thought for a while, I think it's been a little bit since somebody has interviewed and spoke and shared as much as you did. And I get sometimes being nervous, or it's on the sheet, whatever. I just very much appreciate all that you shared, and welcome you, Barry. And Adrian, thanks a lot for rocking it out. I really appreciate all that you do, because I know it's not easy with athletics. That's all. Thanks.
Did we hire a new high school cheerleading coach? Okay. What was the name? Okay. Congratulations to her. I don't know her, but I knew you were going through some interview processes. Thanks for the numbers that you gave us when I requested that a few months back, but I think Mr. Luke should do that for our musical department and our band. I would like to have a head count of where we at. Adrian did a nice one with all of our sports, and then kind of where we're at in JV and varsity, so the board can try to help you obtain instruments or whatever we have within our budget. And especially if it's a flourishing or growing program, we want to support it the best we can. And if it brings in these types of children, it was a great program, and I was really touched by what they did today. So if you could, Ben, get that done for us, or, however. One other thing is, Elena, we had that in-school meeting. That's right, yes. And there was several of us that showed up, and I didn't want to bring any of that up. I was going to bring it up underneath Elena's comments, because a lot of the kids were positive, but a lot of the kids had complaints, and I think that it's hard to, you don't want to be negative, but a lot of the children had complaints that I wanted to bring up, but I think we should have a special, I don't know how to do it, Carrie, you figure it out, but we should have something to address their concerns and then bring them up logically instead of just throwing them out at a board meeting. You know what I mean? Because I told those children, I gave them my word at the high school that I would address all those issues. And we have to address them, whether they're, and that would, I think, help Mr. Kitchen a lot.
Can
And sit down and go through that,
I would be interested in those. I wasn't participating.
Yep.
Is that something appropriate at our strategic planning, since we're collectively working?
Whenever, yeah, I just, it was a lot of the same stuff, the one-way lines, the food, you know what I mean? And some of it is, just concerns the kids have, and I think we should address them because they spent the time with us. And I think the board should take it seriously and do it, which I know we all do. It's just, how do we get time to do it and figure out how to fit it in all our busy schedules?
And I want to thank Elena again for doing that and setting the stage so that that can continue in the future. I know the students said they found it valuable, but I know those of us who were able to participate found it incredibly valuable. And the students were very open and honest.
They were good kids.
Some of the board members took some notes that we could probably formalize and share. But we did talk at one of our meetings, it might have been academic achievement, I don't remember, about going forward, maybe having someone, if there's more than one board member, or maybe an administrator and board member at the table, somebody take notes so that we're kind of documenting their concerns or their comments. And they weren't, you're right, they weren't all negative.
No, there was a ton of positive.
Really a great conversation to have. And Elena, thank you. I know that took a lot of time on your part to coordinate it, but we really do appreciate it. And I saw a couple of the students here today and they were, smiling. And I remember them talking about the play and the drama program being a bright spot over the last year or two because they haven't been able to do some of the things that they are accustomed to doing. So, yeah, thank you. It was great. But let's plan on that. If we do it again, and I know, Alina, you won't be here. You'll be off in your bright future, documenting what it is and collecting the notes that we do have and then kind of sharing those and summarizing those for everybody. Would that help, Alicia? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think we should, and we do, owe it back to the students, that it's not just a, come bring us your concerns, but there needs to be some action or some follow-through
If
on
somebody
it.
asks us a question, we should give them an answer. We've been a really open board here, and I know a lot of boards just like listen to people, yeah, whatever. But them kids took the time and they had a lot of good questions, and I've been in this business for a long time in public service, 42 years, and I was really impressed with some of the questions the kids had, and I'm like, wow. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to bring up. We'll figure it out and work it out amongst us, but I just want to make sure we get back with them, hopefully before the end of the year somehow. You could coordinate something. But other than that, that's all I had.
We'll have to name it the Elena Cook Round Table for years to come.
Hey, it worked out great. Thank you. Appreciate everybody that came. Congratulations to Heather. Thanks, Mr. Luke, for coming. Jim, thanks for staying. Adrian, thanks for staying. Travis, thanks for staying.
Thanks, Chuck. Jack, did you have anything? No? All right, Elena?
I actually do have something to say real quick. I want to say thank you guys for coming to the roundtable meeting, because afterwards I had 4 students come up and say that because of the conversations that they had with you guys, they have decided to apply for this position next year.
Good.
So thank you for that. And also, I got to be a part of the interview process, and when I met Mrs. Briggs, I went in with the idea of we need someone who can just really connect with students, and because even though connecting at a younger age is really important, it's just as important as a high schooler. And almost the entire time during her interview, and even tonight, she said how the school is like a family and the community is like a family. And I just thought that was really cool, and I'm so excited for you. So congratulations, and thank you.
Thanks, Elena. And I would echo that, Heather. Welcome to the district, and we know you're going to be great here. Jim, thank you for staying. Adrian, thank you very much. Mr. Luke, on behalf of the board, to all of the music department, thank you very much. And thanks for bringing your students and sharing the great news. And you guys have just persisted no matter what. And the product is evident. They are just amazing. So I hope you keep bringing them back. It's like a private concert, and we love it.
Can I get a tape recording of the first song? Because I forgot to hit it on my phone. I'd like, the first, obviously you can tell which one I like the most. I like them both, but I want a tape of the first one. If you can do that, or send it to me on my email. YouTube, is it on YouTube?
Well,
yeah. Thanks a lot. You notice I'm not on Facebook, face page, none of that stuff. I'm still with the newspaper. Put it in print. But yeah, I'm old. Thank you.
And I will put one last plug into the community for any and all older instruments that you might have in your home as you're doing spring cleaning. If you can get them fixed first, bring them to the school. If not, bring them to the school. And I'm sure that they will welcome them. It would be a crime for a child to have a barrier of an instrument to participate in the program. So,
And there's a lot of subdivision sales going on now, so maybe we should all go to a subdivision sale, pitch in 10 or 15 bucks, right?
I just want to thank the teachers and the administration for yet again in how you brought together, one, the contract with the teachers, but also with everything that happened yesterday at the high school of being so responsive and, again, putting our students first. Thank you so very much for the efforts, not to the administration and to the teachers for working so well together to make this district stronger, because that's what both the efforts of yesterday and that contract do. So thank you.
well said, Jessica, and I think we all echo that. So thank you. Please pass that on. I know not everybody watches these videos, so thank goodness.
Yeah.
All
they know how to
right.
work their computer. Motion to close, motion to adjourn.
All right, we are actually going to go into closed session for negotiations per OMA 15.268, Section 8A, and I would entertain a motion
So
to do
moved.
so.
Support.
All right, any comments or questions?
I just have a quick question, Carrie.
Sure.
This contract that we do have before us, do we need these turned back in? Are these? Oh, okay. It's not? Okay.
All right. Sue, could you do a roll call, please?
Alyssa Parks,
Yes.
Carrie Germain,
Yes.
Jack Sayer,
Yes.
Brian Sapanic,
Yes.
Chuck Melkey.
Yes.
Jessica Lenave. Yes. Alicia Gardner.
Yes.
All right, we will take a 5-minute break and meet in the conference room. Thank you. Thank you, Travis.